96 Rock, Bridget and Nick. And Bridget, I know you were distraught. You were so upset when you were in Mexico that you could not.
Upset. I thought about trying to call in.
We thought about calling you. We were like, nah, she ain't going to answer this.
Well, you're probably right.
Wait a minute. Bridget, who's that?
So funny.
You added somebody to your show, Nick?
I know. It's crazy. This lady showed up one
I
day.
missed you as well, Gamble.
We are talking
Yeah,
with...
it's been tough, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a difficult separation, but now it's all back together.
We're talking with the one and only Tom Gamble from In-Game Sports, getting us caught up on all the Friday Night Light action, and we have got regional championship games in Ohio. What is going down this weekend, sir?
Yeah, we do. We have 3 tonight, 1 tomorrow, so we don't have any teams competing in 5, 6, or 7 from the local area. But this Division I, Region 4, it's a rematch of last year's regional final. It's number 1 Moeller against number 3 Lakota West. And last week, Moeller built a big lead, 24-0, had to hold on late. Needed a late drive to kill the clock to defeat Mason 24-16. Lakota West with its defense shutting down Elder 30-10. So it's a rematch. Now, last year, in Portland, you look at Lakota West. They've been to this will be the 3rd consecutive regional final.
Yep.
A couple of years ago, they led until the final seconds, literally lost 10-7 to St. X. Last year, they were ahead but wound up on a Jordan Marshall TD run in the 4th quarter, wound up losing to Moeller 21-17. This is going to be an interesting one. I mean, it really and truly is. Think about this. West is 32-3 the last 3 seasons. 2 losses to X, 1 to Moeller.
Wow.
That's it.
That's impressive.
And they've got a championship-style defense. They're the only unbeaten team in D1 in this area. So that tonight is at Princeton. That's Region 4. That should be a good one. And then how about Region 8? This one will be at Mason. Anderson, the hot team, they were the number 10 seed going in.
Yeah.
They're 8-5. They've won 3 in a row against Kings. Kings took down defending Division II state champion Winton Woods last week. And some people were surprised, but don't forget, in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown, we had the Kings-Winton Woods game during the regular season. Winton Woods won 28-23. It was close. This is a really, really good Kings team. Now, these two teams played just a few weeks ago, week 10 of the regular season, and it was close. Anderson led by 3 at the half, and then Kings led only by 4 at the end of 3 quarters. They wound up winning 41-26, so it's a rematch. But you know how, coaches will give you the old cliche, you hate to play and have to beat somebody twice.
Right.
But I guess if you looked at last week, it was that way. Then your alma mater in Region 12.
Heck yeah.
The top seed, Baden. And I mean, their only loss, Nick, as you well know, last year was in the state final to Chardon. I mean, by a touchdown.
Just a touchdown, yeah.
They're undefeated. They had a tight one last week, but it should be tight this time of year. They get the infamous Tip City Tippecanoe. That game tonight is up at Trotwood. And then tomorrow night, it's another rematch. It is Wyoming, the number 1 seed, taking on number 2 Taft. They played week 2. Wyoming won 20-0. And these numbers are just staggering. That game's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. All are at 7 o'clock at Lakota West. DJ Hester, the senior running back for Wyoming, I had to almost do a double take on this one. He has rushed this year for 2,830 yards.
Damn. Wow.
That is ridiculous.
I feel tired hearing that.
Hang on, 45 touchdowns. And he had,
wow,
they didn't do much offensively, honestly, in the first meeting, 20-0, but he still ran for 188 yards, 96 of those on a TD run. So, I mean, this is, Taft, obviously, you get him a second time, so that's an interesting game. But this Wyoming team seems to always be here. They got here last year and lost to Clinton Massey, and they took care of Clinton Massey this year. So there are your games in Ohio. Kentucky now, we are in the quarterfinals, so you're down to 8 in each class, and these are still being played at home sites. It's everything neutral in Ohio. So tonight we've got in Class 1, Newport Central Catholic goes to Louisville to take on Kentucky Country Day. I'm going to say that's a toss-up.
Okay.
Newcastle having a great year. I think that's a toss-up. In Fort Mitchell, it'll be Beechwood, 2-time defending 2A state champs against Shelby Valley. No, Bridget, I don't even know where that is.
Okay, good. I got nervous there for a second.
No, it's all good. A 7:30 kickoff, and then Breathitt County comes to Lloyd. So if Lloyd and Beechwood win tonight, I think Breathitt County Lloyd's kind of a toss-up too. Beechwood would play Lloyd again in what would be the next round. So you'll be down to 4. So it would be a state semifinal game in 2A. Indiana, we got our 2 that are still going. How about East Central in Class 4A? They actually host Indianapolis Roncalli. Now, they played during the regular season, and Roncalli pulled out a 21-19 victory. So the Trojans have a legitimate shot in this game, East Central. And then in 3A, Lawrenceburg, you don't see this very often. They play a team, Monrovia, though I don't know where that is either. Monrovia is 6-7.
Wow, 6 and
that's
7.
rare. This is a semi-state. So, but Nick,
Wow.
and that's the old, wow, Indiana, everybody gets in. So, see, someone like me who would say you shouldn't get in with a losing record, somebody from Monrovia would say, well, wait a minute, we made it to semi-state. Now, Lawrenceburg, they're 12-1. They have not lost since the season opener in their rival game to East Central. Monrovia, yes. So anyway, this is where it is, and I think honestly, West and Moeller in Division I have a legitimate shot at winning a state title. Certainly, Baden does in D3. D2, Kings and Anderson. There's that Akron Archbishop Hoban. Now, Whitwoods took them down last year, but they're always they're always hanging there. They're a really powerful program, usually regardless of classification in Northeast Ohio and then Wyoming. Anytime you got a guy like C.J. Hester and a good team and a good coach at Wyoming, I think everybody's got legitimate shots. So tonight's a big night. You got to get there. You got to win and move on. So it doesn't look it's cold, right? But it looks like we're going to have another Friday night with some, relatively decent.
It's November. It's playoff
football
time. It's
weather.
supposed to be cold.
Correct.
Like now is the time. It's like if you're not bundled up in the stadiums, you're not doing it right. So this is when it gets down to the nitty gritty.
Grab your pair of hot hands.
Yeah.
You got, your coffee to keep you warm. You're fine.
And when you're on the field, this is when you get smacked around a little bit. You don't even feel it. It's so cold. So you're just ready to go.
Here's what I love with Bridget there with her like tough woman act is the only time she'll be outside today is walking from her vehicle to a bar.
1,000,000%.
Right. So what do I need to make sure I take again?
Your hot hands. Hot hands.
Put them in your mittens.
Really? So let me ask you this: when you got back, what do you think of this delightful weather?
Well, and that's the thing that. It wasn't that cold here while I was gone, which kind of pissed me off, if I'm going to be completely honest, because you guys were still in like the 60s where I needed you to be in like this weather.
Yeah,
and instead it waited. So I went from like upper 80s, low 90s to like 30 degrees, and my sinuses gave me the double middles.
Yeah.
Well, hey, welcome back.
Right?
Thank you.
Have you back now? Don't forget, Nick, we got UC tomorrow at Temple. And they were really fortunate a week ago to beat East Carolina.
Yeah, that was
they really
close.
Were.
That was close. That Friday night game.
Then you've got Tulane coming here the day after Thanksgiving. So Tulane took down SMU last night. And boy, I tell you what, the Bengals, this is one you better win. Because when you look at the remaining teams on the Bengals schedule, at Pittsburgh, which is a late afternoon game, it was flexed out of prime time. This Pittsburgh team isn't very good, but when you look now, the Bengals, Tennessee, which won at Green Bay last night. Suddenly, Tennessee's 8-3. You've still got Kansas City. You've still got Buffalo. You're at New England. You're at a suddenly resurgent Tampa Bay. So the remaining Bengals schedule, and I know everybody thought, hey, it's kind of similar to last year, a little momentum into the bye week. But I got to tell you, you have to beat the teams that you should beat to have any chance to make them. And I think they got a legitimate chance to make the postseason because there aren't very many really good teams in the NFL, regardless of AFC and NFC.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, the rivalry game, you got smacked in the mouth the first game of the season. You got to be fired up to win this one and set the tone. Because like you said, the schedule is not very, it's not very forgiving for the Bengals in the second half. So you set the tone now and come out and put up 40 points and just totally obliterate the Steelers, then you're setting yourself up for some success. And hopefully that's what happens because nobody wants to see the Steelers win. Come on.
No,
don't forget, too, you're 0-3, the first round, the home and home against your division. You haven't won a divisional game yet. So, I mean, you need to establish yourself a little bit in the division. Baltimore's clearly, besides Cincinnati, is clearly the best team in this division. So, and that'll be later. I believe that's the last game of the regular season.
That is,
so still some time to get ready for the Ravens. So now, don't forget, everybody says, and I had a high school AD tell me, you want to be practicing on Thanksgiving Day. You do, because if you are, that means you're still in the hunt to win a state championship. So that'll be this coming week. The teams that'll be playing on Friday and or Saturday will be practicing on Thanksgiving, and that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, there are very few teams that get to do that. Those who do are still in it.
Yeah, so good luck to all of our local teams in the playoffs this weekend. Hoping they can go far. Again, I have to, because go Rams, do it, get there.
There you go.
Beat Tip City, Tippecanoe. And hopefully you can make it back to state and have a different result. So, Tom, it is always a pleasure talking to you. And we will check in with you next week so we can see how all this plays out and see how it's all going to look next week. And can't wait for it to happen.
And if you didn't remember anything from our discussion this morning, folks, hot hand.
Get your hot hand.
Oh, you're a delight.
All right. Hey, glad to have you back. Welcome home to Cincinnati. It's awesome around here this time of year.
Thanks
have
so
a great
much.
weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you guys next week.
You as well.